In today's video, we're talking the RENPHO app. Welcome to the video, guys. My name is Tyler, also known as the Fit Chemist, and I help people take control of their lives by taking control of their fitness and nutrition habits so that ultimately we can lead healthier and happier lives. So if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Turn those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post new videos. And if you are returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here. In my last video, I did a mini review of the RENPHO Bluetooth Smart Scale, and in that video, I went over what all of the body composition metrics that it track mean. So what do those values mean and what to do with them? And I also gave everyone 3 tips on how to get the most out of your smart scale. Within that video, I did say that the scale has its own app that goes with it. However, I didn't do a walkthrough of it or show you how to use it, so I figured that's what we can do in today's video. So if you're here from that last video and I convinced you that a RENPHO Smart Scale is something worth purchasing, then congratulations on picking up your new scale, especially if you used my affiliate link. Thank you very much. However, if you're just here, let's say you went on YouTube and you're just searching like a particular feature, or you had a question about the app, then hopefully we go ahead and get that question answered for you today. But enough babbling here, let's dive into it. We're going to start on the measurements tab because that is what it defaults to when you open up the app. But you can see across the bottom we have measurements, trends, discover, and my account. We will be going through each of these tabs and what everything inside of it means and how to use it. But like I said, we're going to start with measurements here. You can see at the top that my weigh-in for today was 165.0, so within that large circle, that's going to display your most current weigh-in. Whenever you step on the scale, you'll see that these tiny little dots around the bigger circle are going to start spinning around. That means that it's measuring, and then once it stops spinning around, it's going to display your new weigh-in data inside of that circle. You can see under it that you have an option to add a weight goal, so if I go ahead and click that, I can move that weight slider around and then body fat slider around as well, and then you click confirm. However, I'm not going to set one right now. You can do the same thing with the body fat goal. So if you click body fat goal, then you have that same sort of slider, right? That's the same screen that we were just in. So you can click one or the other to set those. Right under that, you can see some previous weigh-in data. So this feature is actually pretty cool. If you go ahead and click that, you can select whatever date you'd like to compare from. So if I wanted to go back 3 months from now or 6 months from now, click a date and compare that to where I'm at now. That is how you would do it using this feature. If we scroll down, we can see all the various things that it measures. So there are 13 metrics of body composition that we have here, and I spent a good amount of time in my last video going through all of those. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and watch that video if you want to know more about one of these particular measurements. However, what I do like about this is just if I click on one, let's say I click on weight, it's going to show where you line up on this scale. So each of these has a similar sort of scale that it'll rate you on, and then it also gives a short description of what that measurement means. You can see that a body pops up and it has literally measurements for everything that you could possibly need. So we got neck, bust, abdomen, biceps, thigh, calf, all on the left. We also have shoulder, waist, hip, biceps, thigh, and calf on the right. I don't think that you necessarily need to track all of these. I'd say if you track a couple, maybe neck, abdomen, hip, and waist. If you want to do biceps and thighs, I guess you could if you're more into bodybuilding and you want to see how much muscle you put on in those areas. But I think the main two should probably be waist and hip measurements. But either way, you can add those in on the circumference tab and then hit save, and it will track your data over time. The last thing on this measurements tab then is if we go up to the top right and we click on this plus sign, you'll see there are a couple options here, one of them being manual input. So let's say for whatever reason your Bluetooth isn't working, you can go right into here. You can use this scale to put in whatever your weight is. You can also add your body fat percentage using a scale, and then you just click date, and then it'll just auto-populate for whatever that date and time is. Or if you weighed in the morning and you need to go back and add in a weigh-in, you can do that using this entry method here. I'm back in the measurements tab, and I want to go ahead and talk about the other 2 features on that plus sign. So I'm going to go ahead and click that again. If I click device management, that'll show up. So that's how you connect to the Bluetooth scale. If you want to forget the device or add another device for whatever reason, you can do that in this tab. But then I think the most important one is this share feature. So I think this is actually quite cool. If you click on this, it will summarize all of your data that's on that homepage into a nice little infographic. But what's even cooler is if you click the comparison tab at the top left, it'll show you referenced back to that date on the home screen, and it'll show how you match up to that previous date. If I go ahead and click save here, it'll say saved successfully, so it will save this photo to my camera roll, which is quite cool if you want to text it to friends, or if you want to share it directly from this app, all you have to do is click the share button, and then you can go ahead and send it as a text. I think this feature is really cool, especially if you're a coach or a client, because you can very easily share information using that send feature. One thing I do want to share though is how you change that comparison date. So let's say you go to the share feature and you want to change that date that's comparing to. All you do is come back to the measurements tab, and then where it's displaying that date on the home tab or the measurements tab, you just click that date, it'll pop up with a calendar, and then you can scroll back to whatever date you want, click that, and it'll auto-populate on the measurements tab again, and then just go back to the share feature and click compare, and it'll show that new data. We'll get into some of these other tabs in just 1 second, but my question of the day for you is, what feature do you think is the most important when it comes to a smart scale? I think RENPHO app has all of them, but if there's any that they missed, let me know down in the comments below. But with that, let's get back into it. I think we've gone over everything we need to go over on the measurements tab, so we can go ahead and switch over to the trends tab. So I'll go ahead and do that. You can see all of my data is displayed here for the last week. If I want to change that to a month view, all I have to do is click month at the top, or if I want to see the year view, I can click the year view. But let's go back to week, and let's say we don't necessarily want to see the month view, but I do want to go back and see some of my previous weigh-in data. All I have to do is click and slide my finger to the right, and I can go ahead and just scroll back and see all of that data. So the app is automatically going to default to weigh-in data. However, it does track the other metrics that we saw on the measurements tab along the bottom. So if I want to go to body fat percentage, I just click the percent symbol, or if I want to see some of the other ones, I can just slide along here and get to those other ones. And if I click them, it will display the same type of data for that week. I'm going to go back to the weight tab, so I don't think there's necessarily anything to show on that. However, I do want to point out that there is a little feature down the bottom right where if you click the preference time, you can show all day weigh-ins, AM or PM. I don't necessarily recommend weighing in at night because it's not going to be as accurate after you eat and drink a bunch of stuff. However, if you do weigh in the morning and night and you just want to see one or the other, you do have that option within the app. One feature I do want to go over, which I think a lot of people are probably going to be searching for, is how to delete a weigh-in. Let's say you get on the scale and it's not accurate, or let's say someone else gets on the scale and it reads that their weigh-in data is your data. How do you go in and delete that measurement? Well, all you do is go ahead, let's say I want to delete my most recent one. I would click that value, a little pop-up occurs. You click that little pop-up, and it takes you to this calendar, but you can see sort of on the middle right here, there's a trash can icon. If I click that, it'll ask me to confirm and delete that weigh-in, which I'm not going to do, but that would be how you delete a particular weigh-in. One other thing that I do want to mention before moving on to the Discover tab is that if you do track your circumference measurements in here, all you have to do is click circumference at the top. So I don't have any weigh-in data, so it's not displaying the graph. But if we go back and let's say we were doing the measurements tab and we were actually measuring our bicep, hip, waist, etc., you can go right into this part of the trends tab and you can see how those change over time as well. I'm now going to switch over to the Discover tab. So you can see this one has the least utility out of all of them. You can see across the top they have a couple of giveaways going away. So this is essentially their advertising page. One thing I do want to say is that sometimes on here they have these limited time deals where they're looking for testers. So one I applied for was a jump rope. They have a new smart jump rope. So I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I'll apply and see if I can get my hands on one. I should be getting that soon. So you can test products from this company, or you can see what some of the other deals they have in here. But as far as utility goes, and it comes to like meaningful data for you, this tab is probably just not going to be used very much, to be honest. And then I'm going to switch over to the last tab, which is the My Account tab, which I think hosts probably the most important features out of all of them. So you can add friends and family. So I have my mom and my stepdad in here. So if I wanted, I could go in, I could click their profile, and I could actually see all of their measurements the same way that I would see mine on the Trends tab. I think this is also quite useful if you're a coach and you have clients that also have the RENPHO scale. All you have to do is go into the app and you can see what their weigh-in data looks like as well. But one of the coolest features, which again is one I think is going to be highly sought after, is how do you add other users to this app so that way when they step on the scale, it's not registered as your weigh-in data and vice versa. Well, you would come to the My Accounts tab, and then all you have to do is click Add a Member towards the top here. Click Add Measurement User. So if you wanted to add a friend, you'd click that Add Friend button instead. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill out like a dummy profile and say Tyler 2. just make up some birthday. Let's say we were born December 4th, 1993. That sounds good. And then I'm 5'9" currently, but let's just say I'm 5'11" today. I'm feeling 2 inches taller. So once I do all that, you would go ahead and click confirm, and it should add it to your section. But since I'm recording this in airplane mode right now, it's not actually going to add that. But once you do, it'll show up on this feature, and then let's say someone goes in to weigh, it'll ask, which user do you want to add this to, or if you have significantly different weigh-ins, like let's say you have a significant other who's 30 pounds lighter than you, if they get on the scale, it should automatically register and know that it's going to their profile and not yours. But yeah, it's easy as that. All you have to do is add the profile, and then you should be good to go. And if for whatever reason it does miss track, just refer back to the earlier part of this video in which I show you how to delete a weigh-in. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Turn those notification bells on because I post new videos every single Friday and you do not want to miss when they go live. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.